Welcome to Dental Business RX. Practice success in 30 minutes or less.
Thank you for calling ABC Dental.
Do you advertise using Google? Chances are you do. A lot of practices do. If someone were to search for dentist near me in your area, where would you rank? Would you be on the first page, the second page? Would your ad show up? Well, I'm going to give you a couple different statistics that you should be thinking with here. I'm not saying you shouldn't advertise, but if you advertise on Google and someone searches for dentist near me, only 1 out of 11 people are going to click that ad. 1 out of 11. So what are the other 10 doing? Well, they're looking for the doctors that appear under the ad. This is something that we call organic or natural SEO, search engine optimization. And it's one of these terms that we've all heard about and we know very little to nothing about, but it's something that's of extreme importance to your practice. So on this week's episode of Dental Business RX, we're going to talk about how to improve your SEO with simple things that you can start doing right now. My name is Jeff Bloomberg, and I'm your host, and I'm joined this week by Mr. Dan Brown. Now, Dan is a marketing expert. He's also a senior seminar speaker here at MGE. He delivers the majority of our MGE New Patient Workshop. He speaks at our executive seminars as well as our communication and sales seminars. And Dan is also a partner at Bloomberg Digital, which is a digital marketing agency. And Dan, I think they have you hooked up over there now?
Yep, all good.
Awesome. All right, so we're talking about SEO, and I promised everybody, if I haven't, I'll promise you now, this is not going to be a boring techno-speak episode. I forgot if I said that earlier or not. I shouldn't be forgetting if that was only 20 seconds ago. But so we're talking about what they can do to improve their SEO right now, right? Now, first, I guess, I wanted to sort of establish how big of a problem is this really?
Yeah, I'd say it's a big problem because if you take a look at trends,
Sure.
About 10 years ago, 8 out of 10 people would click an ad.
Okay.
5 years ago, 5 to 6 out of 10 would click an ad. Mm-hmm. Today, 1 out of 11 click an ad. As a consumer, I am an ad ignorer, and I'm a marketer.
Sure.
So it's weird. You're not a good person or a bad person if you click ads or don't click ads. It has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
It's just consumer practices. Uh-huh. And, I think the listener should ask themselves the question, am I an ad clicker or an ad ignorer? And by and large, there's some people say, well, sometimes I'll click an ad. Mm-hmm. A lot of people just say, yeah, whatever's at the top. So the majority of the population, however, are looking for an organic listing. There's a number of reasons behind that. We don't have to get into that, but there are a lot of reasons why you need to consider being organically higher, because if you're on page 3 of Google, page 5 of Google, page 2 of Google, they say page 2 of Google, it's the best place I had a dead body. Nobody goes there. So it's really important that you look at what do you need to do to bring your listing forward. It's work. Mm-hmm. Expect to, at some point, hire a professional. And I would definitely inspect what your current SEO provider is or is not doing. And we'll talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Because I know with search engine optimization, there's certain things that they could be doing right this second, right? Which I know is what you're going to talk about. But, and I know there's also a point where you go, yeah, I'm going to have to bring a pro in if I want to improve on this. But it seems like, you'll have somebody who wants to improve their SEO, but as far as their basics go, they're completely nowhere. Like some of the basics that they want to have in place that they could be doing themselves. And I've seen it where people will pay people to do these basics, and it's so silly. Your front desk could do it.
Right.
Right. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, so Google will never tell us as marketers what the different factors are as far as weighting. How do they weight the numerous different factors that go into SEO and organic rankings? Okay. But they do issue a best practices document and they update that routinely, like sometimes about 1,200 times a year, but major updates once to twice a year. Those best practices show marketers that there's about 220 elements that go into organic ranking.
Mm-hmm.
They will not tell us what the weighting is.
Sure.
So what we do is marketing companies do all sorts of tests to do this and then watch, and then do this and watch.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been doing that for years.
Okay.
So, SEO, we know of those 220 factors, there's more important ones and then less important ones. But we're going to talk about the things our listeners can do right now.
Sure.
So the first thing I would say is 3 of those 220 factors include reviews.
Okay.
That includes the total number of reviews practice has, the review rating, so like 4.2, 4.7, 4.9, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And then how frequently they're adding reviews.
All right. Interesting. Okay.
And that last one is very interesting because that one is more highly weighted than the other 2.
You're kidding.
No.
So you're saying overall ranking,
Yep.
right? Number of reviews.
Yep.
And then frequency of reviews.
Correct.
Okay. So, if I'm low ranked, will that necessarily affect where I appear in Google?
It doesn't appear that has as much weight as the third point of frequency of reviews.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, if you're below a certain star rating,
mm-hmm.
such as if you're less than 4.7 stars, your consumers will be driven away.
Got it.
Yeah. So we're talking about 2 factors. You could be highly ranked
Mm-hmm.
right on page 1 or in position number 1. But if you have poor stars, low number of reviews, you're going to miss consumership completely because consumers want, a highly rated business, or in this case, practice, and they want a lot of reviews.
But then to take what you're saying, so if I had, let's say I got 300 reviews from my patients.
Mm-hmm.
So I got 300 reviews over the course of, 4 months, 5 months, however long it took me. Yeah. And then we don't add a review for a year.
It's telling Google that you're not seeing people or as many people, and it's a warning sign.
Got it.
When Google sees that you're repetitively adding reviews and routinely getting more and more reviews, it's saying, okay, good, this business is alive. Obviously, they don't have agents that are, people standing outside your business to see, hey, is this business open? How's it doing? So they use different factors.
I see.
Obviously, they're tracking how many time people, actually go to that practice using their Maps app.
Got it.
That's one way. But reviews tells them, hey, this place is alive.
Got it.
And well, or alive and not well based off the review rating. Right?
Okay.
So
as far as what's the average? If you look at the average office, because you work with a lot of newer clients or people attending the new patient workshop, what's the average office? How many reviews do they have?
Well, the average office, I see about 50 reviews.
Okay. And would you say that's enough or that's not enough?
Definitely not enough.
What for you is the floor?
So the floor for me, really looking at, you're trying to get a more fee-for-service type patient. You're trying to get somebody who cares more about their teeth and their health and their longevity than they do the insurance.
Okay.
You are appealing to somebody who wants to see a practice has helped a lot of people like them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say 150 reviews minimum.
Minimum.
150,
but the average you're seeing is 50.
50. And that's kind of like notwithstanding the fact that, you take a place such as Miami or New York or densely populated with dentists, densely populated area and search dentist near me and take a look at the number of reviews that are, other practices have. Mm-hmm. So if you got 150 reviews, but your neighbors have 500, yeah, it's, take a look at how we shop in Amazon today.
Right.
We go shopping for a new ironing board and we find a couple that seem to fit the bill. One's got 375 reviews and one's got 50 reviews. Mm-hmm. Even the one that has 375 reviews could have a lower rating. It could be 4.7 stars and the one with 50 reviews could be 4.9 stars. The one with a lower rating and even $5 more, $10 more people will trust that ironing board product because of the bigger cross section.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I guess this brings us to 2 questions.
Yeah.
1, how do I get more reviews, right? And 2, where am I having them leave them?
Good. Well, I think I would say that's a whole other episode that we might want to take up because that's a great question and it's so important. We're talking about 2 different factors right now. We're talking about how does Google look at your practice and then how does the consumer look at your practice?
Sure.
And you got to think with both those. You're thinking with both those right now. And everybody listening needs to think with both those things. For SEO, Google looks at a practice a very certain way. And again, you want to get up to page 1, position 1 on all your key search terms, ideally. Just being there. And I think if you, do a search in your area and say, hey, who's in number 1, you might see some people with relatively low stars or low reviews. People will ignore those practices because of that.
Got it.
So there's 2 factors: the consumer view and then the Google view. So can we do that? Maybe another episode on how to get a bunch of reviews?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course. So, okay. So as far as improving SEO though, get a lot of reviews.
Get a lot of reviews, get your review rating up above 4.7 stars and add them frequently. Don't stop. I've seen this. Offices hits 500 reviews, everybody, big staff party. They have a great time, bonuses and all that stuff. But then the team slows down. It tells Google that your business, something's not right or as good as it was.
Okay. So then it's got to be something. It's also got to be consistent.
Consistent.
That's another critical point.
Very critical point.
And it doesn't matter. So, we're talking about Google here. So obviously you want these on your Google business page.
Correct.
So then obviously these folks would have to claim their Google business page.
You got to claim your Google My Business. And I would, absolutely enable all notifications, download the application, and probably another podcast item that we should talk about, how to optimize your Google My Business page for the consumer.
Okay.
This, we're going to talk about how to optimize it for Google.
Yeah.
But for the consumer, when the consumer goes and looks dentist near me, and they see your Google My Business page, yeah, you got to have certain things present there for the consumer, not so much for Google, but for the consumer. Yeah. Got
it. Okay. So that's the first thing I can do. What are some of the other easy steps these folks can do right away?
Yeah. So there are things called listings.
Okay.
It's basically like an online phone book, is a listing. So Yelp is a listing. Facebook is a listing. WebMD is a listing. You can type in your practice name, city and state if you want. Not your website, but your practice name.
Okay.
And you'll get a whole bunch of search engine results. Okay. And beneath that phrase, you can take a look at each different place. Obviously, you get your website, but then you're going to get Yelp, and you're going to get WebMD, and you're going to get, this one and that one. Each of those are separate phone books. And Google looks at those as points where somebody can get information about you and your practice.
Okay.
Those are called listings. They're also called citations.
Okay.
Same thing, different word. So you can go through those listings, and you want to take the listings on the first few pages on your practice. You might see that there's this one here. It's a white pages. You've never seen it. You've never gone there. You don't know how that even ended up there. Well, what they do is, second you register your business, they grab that and they automatically populate that, just like Google did, just like Yelp does.
So whether they like it or not, a page is being made for them.
Correct. It's a phone book.
Got it.
And so they got to go into that phone book, and they need to make sure everything is exactly correct. And they need to populate it. The most key points are the nap, not like go take a nap. It's nap, name, address, and phone.
Oh, I thought you were like nap. You were saying nap to me repeatedly. I didn't know what we were talking about.
Did you get tired? You must take a nap.
I'm taking a nap.
Yeah.
All right. So name,
address, and phone number. And what that is it's not just to make sure that everything is exactly, correct as far as the phone number, but say you're on 123 Smith Avenue.
Okay.
And you're suite 103. So on Google, it might say, 123 Smith Ave, AVE, suite, STE, 103 or whatever.
Sure.
But in another place, it spells out the word suite. And in another place, it just says unit or number sign.
Sure.
And then it says avenue in another place. And then it says Ave, no period, or Av with period. These are all variances that Google goes, wait a minute, something's wrong here.
That simple.
That simple. It's hard to believe, but in this day and age, you could have all these analytics and it can't think that one through. But it does. There's so many variables to that Google just says, wait, something's not exactly the same here. So you want to get your Google My Business address, literally the address of your practice, and make sure it's identical. You want to make sure that your name is identical. So if you're Dr. Joe Blow Jr., JR period, that it's JR period everywhere, not just JR or the second or something like, because all these are variances in Google's eyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, so, an SEO provider should be able to go in and put all that in place. And if you've paid somebody to do that, make sure that it is that way.
Got it.
A lot of SEO providers, I can just tell you, they kind of do the bare minimum.
Got it.
So I would check that out. If you're hiring somebody spending, $500, $800 a month and they haven't done that, that's the bare minimum of what they should have done the first month, if not by the second month. Fix all your directories.
Okay.
If they haven't done that, you got the wrong guy.
Fair enough. Okay, good. Any other simple things I could be doing right now?
So for SEO, again, we've talked about reviews. We've talked about listings. You want to take a look at your practice offerings in Google My Business. So in Google My Business, you have, when you have access to your Google My Business page, you've got to log in and all this. You can type in the cities that you service. You can type in the various services that you offer. You want to see if you're correctly listed. If you're a specialist, you should have you're listed as that specialist. Mm-hmm. I've seen a number of people who have been listed as a cosmetic dentist, but they weren't. They're a general dentist. I've seen a general dentist listed as a specialist. I've seen a cosmetic dentist, it wants a specialty cosmetic practice, listed as a dental clinic. And in the United States, a dental clinic, you don't want to be listed as a dental clinic. You'd want to be listed as a dentist. But in Canada, you want to be listed as a dental clinic.
Yeah, because in the U.S., that would be more public health as opposed to a private practice.
Correct.
Yeah.
So these are different things, but all these things can be accessed and changed in your Google My Business directory. And even though it's not going to show every city that you service, when a public goes and looks at your online, Google My Business profile, you're being indexed for those service areas. They're called service areas. So, if you service a town that's, 4 towns away from you and you got people coming from that town, list that town.
Got it.
Yeah.
So these are all things that are difficulty level on a scale of 1 to 10.
Sitting of a 1 or 2.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So there's no reason that people should not do these things.
That's correct. But I'm also going to put this caveat in place, Jeff, that these are the basics. Okay. I said there's 220 factors.
Right. No. By no means are we thinking this is expert type stuff. No. We wanted to make this episode only because these are basic things that we see. You'll search for somebody and the only thing that comes up is their website and a bunch of unclaimed listings, as you say. Correct. And you go, well, come on, this is something you could be fixing in your office in 5 minutes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even on those listings, some of those listings are so poorly ranked within Google's algorithm that some SEO providers will ignore those. But again, this is kind of the DIY of SEO. This is something that a doctor can go there and populate, upload a photo, a couple practice photos. It's okay. Now, many of those phone books, those listings, those companies that have these listings for your practice, they're going to try to sell you on an annual membership.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that. They're going to try to sell you on advertising. I wouldn't do that. I would consider Yelp if you're in a highly dense Yelp area where dental is a factor. So those are the major cities of the U.S. right now.
Well, this is one of those things where, sorry to interrupt, but Yelp will have a page for you.
Yes.
Whether you claim it or not.
That's,
I think, the thing people have to get.
Yeah.
You have a Yelp page. You have a Google page. You don't have a Facebook page. Someone might have actually said they were at your office. Facebook creates a quasi page for you.
Correct.
I don't think it's really even a Facebook page, is it?
It looks horrible, but yeah.
But you have these pages whether you like them or not. And nothing looks weirder to a consumer than if they go look for you and then what shows up are these unclaimed pages.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to claim it in Yelp, and then of course, Yelp would be one area I might consider advertising. That could be another podcast where we talk about where would we advertise. I don't like Yelp as a platform for reviews. I think their business practices and their algorithms are really, really questionable. And most of my clients feel the same way. And most dentists feel the same way.
We'll probably have to bleep that last part out for legal purposes.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, that's the game. And in certain areas, you're going to want to advertise. It would remove other practices being advertised on your page for Yelp. when you paying Yelp, when you're paying Yelp. So.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Because if I search for, let's say you have a dental practice in San Francisco, your page is up. I'll see ads for other doctors on your page.
Correct.
That's special.
So there's only a couple listings or directories that I would say, yeah, go ahead and subscribe to them.
Sure.
And I would even be happy to review clients on a one-to-one basis to say, this is what I would do in your spot. They could even email me and say, hey, Dan, what do you think I should do? Should I bother advertising in Yelp, or should I do this, or should I do that? Yeah.
And I think, if you look at it from sort of the big picture from the top, SEO used to be a little bit more simple. And Google does, I think, from what I think, it does try to make it they are trying to service the consumer. So they're trying to give the consumer what they want. Correct. Right? And that's definitely changed. The whole Google local concept has changed the last probably 7-8 years. I think it's gone that direction. That's right. But what used to be easy to do themselves, like these are easy DIY things to do. It's sort of like Facebook. When we DIY'd that in the beginning till we had to get really pro at it, or we had to bring in somebody else. We just became pro at it ourselves. Yeah. So with SEO, this is something that you would recommend that they get some professional help with to get onto that first page. Correct.
And I see a lot of dentists say, well, I'm paying some guy $500, $800 a month. I can tell you if that's your budget for SEO, you've got to change your estimates, because whatever that person's probably doing is insufficient. If you're in a competitive area, you're going to have to spend. Right. And you got to get the right provider. So people dance around this issue, meaning marketing companies dance around what really is necessary. And some guys are doing things that, they worked 5 or 7 years ago, but today will actually get you penalized by Google. It's a thing like keyword stuffing. I'll just, where you just put all the Invisalign and implants and all this stuff, and you say it repetitively through the page. Wow. That was a big thing 7 years ago, and it got you to Google fast. Google saw that people were keyword stuffing, and then it was a loophole. They closed the loophole, and now they penalize you if you do that. And so SEO has evolved over the years. Your SEO provider better have evolved as well. And if they haven't, you could get yourself, the SEO provider is not going to get in trouble. They're going to look at your website and go, oh, okay, good. You're doing all these things that we have said since that time, in the last 5-7 years, that's against our best practices. You're trying to cheat. And so you belong on page 12. Thank you very much. Right.
Well, I think that the thing that hit me the hardest looking at this is obviously people are doing Google ads, they're doing Facebook ads, they have their Facebook page, they have Instagram pages, whatever they're doing. A lot of doctors are going on TikTok. You go for that. Yeah. I don't think I'm ever going on TikTok. I think I'm showing my age. But if you see me on TikTok, something's really wrong. But when you showed me those statistics specifically on the ads, because if you think about the average consumer behavior, I'm going to get a postcard in the mail. Right? Yeah. I'm going to search for this office. I won't necessarily go to the website. Correct. I'm going to type their name into Google. Correct. And I'll get whatever I get. So I'm going to see the reviews. I'm going to see all these things. And obviously reviews play a big part in it, right? Right. But, or if I'm looking for a dentist near me, I'm going to type that in, dentist near me. I'm going to get whatever I get. The fact that Google plays such a large part, even with mail marketing now. Yeah. Even if I see a billboard for a practice, I'm probably going to go online and check them out. Yeah. Right. It plays such a huge, huge part in the overall business strategy. I think SEO has sort of gotten the short shrift, right? For two reasons. And I'm talking more than I normally do because I'm more the interviewer.
No, but it's good.
But I think it's gotten the short shrift for two reasons. One, I think people just don't understand it. It's not the easiest, quickest hit. If I do a Google ad, I'm either getting a call or I'm not. Right. If I send a postcard out, I'm getting a call or I'm not.
That's right.
SEO can take, how long would it take? Let's say you take me, my office, if you search dentist near me appears on page 6. How long is it going to take for me to actually rank and start doing something, assuming I'm doing everything you're telling me to?
Yeah, good question. So,
as professionally, not just the DIY stuff. Sure. I'm your client, you're showing me.
Yeah. So a number of factors that play into this include how competitive is your area. So how many people are also doing that?
Let's say I'm in a competitive area.
Yeah. So competitive area, think about 8 months to a year.
So 8 months to a year. So I'm going to have to basically really commit to this for 8 months to a year before I see a result.
Correct.
So that's where I think SEO kind of goes by the wayside for folks because it's not it's not instant gratification.
Yeah, that's right.
And I understand why, but it's, I'm climbing a mountain here.
And if you look at those stats, 5 years ago, so many more people were clicking at ads than they do today. And 7 years ago, even more people were clicking ads. So what does that mean in the next 2 to 3 years? What I tell people is I say, listen, if it's hard now to think about paying for quality SEO help, I get it. Mm-hmm. The longer you wait, the more your competition gets in front of you.
Right.
And the longer they're in front of you, the harder it's going to be for you to ever get traction to get up to where you want to be.
I think it's like a marathon.
That's right.
So if I'm going to let the other runners get a 10-mile head start on me, unless I'm really fast, I'm going to lose.
Right.
So I have to climb the mountain.
Right.
And then I got to stay on top of the mountain. I can't just go, I climb the top, I'm going to stay on top forever because we know that doesn't work.
That's right.
So I think that's reason number one. SEO sort of just, goes by the wayside. It's not that you don't get that instant gratification.
Yeah.
And I think number two is people just don't really understand it, everything that's involved with it.
And I understand it. It is complex.
Yeah.
It's a whole other environment. You're talking about analytics and all sorts of measurements that, you're a dentist. You're sitting there, you're trying to do your thing. So it's fortunately isn't as complex as dentistry is. So you could learn it if you had the time to dedicate learning and understanding it. But I think one of the most upsetting aspects about it is that marketing companies in general, they don't have the same qualification requirements that a dentist has.
Sure.
So this is a big problem. A dentist has to go to school, go through a residency, get
pass
licensed.
the boards.
Yeah. And then has to be continually educated to be a dentist.
Sure.
A marketer can just say, I'm a marketer.
That's true. I could say I'm a marketer right now.
Right now.
I mean, I kind of am, but
But you could start a website, put on a good show, talk some, things to me that obviously if I didn't know what you were talking about, you would seem quite wise and provided you sounded good.
But that's that lack of understanding.
Correct.
I'll sit there and I'll say, well, there's this algorithm for this and that. And the Google algorithm has changed twice this year and racket, blah, blah. And then, somebody else. This reminds me of before we were using our current software at the office, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give a shout out to NetSuite, Oracle. I like them. Before we were using NetSuite, we were actually having a custom software program made this was 15, 16 years ago. And things ended up not working out with the developer, right? So, we got our code, but it's sort of like building a house. I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know if the code's any good.
No idea.
Like I'd have to hire somebody else and trust them to know if the code's any good.
Correct.
Yeah. So say some fancy words and it sounds cool.
Correct.
Right.
Which is what's done all the time.
Right.
Or this specific one. We've looked into your SEO.
Yeah.
Your existing provider, if you have one, is horrible. And here's why. And they throw some things out there that has maybe some credibility, like a couple of the listings are not right or whatever. Well, a good SEO company is going to take a look at some low ranking listings and go, okay, I'm not going to waste time here with these. I'm going to work on this strategy because you're paying a good SEO strategist big money.
Sure.
So, but another company comes and kicks that one. That is how marketing companies survive. They survive on what's called churn.
Okay.
So, the typical low-level marketing company expects to hold or retain a client for 3 to 9 months. They feel, absolutely overjoyed if they can retain a client for 9 months.
Wow.
It's disgusting.
But from an SEO perspective, you're really not, that ninth month is when you should start seeing some joy from your efforts.
Sure. That's right.
That must be tough.
It's an interesting go. Okay. Again, one day I think this may be more regulated and such and have actual certification in place. I hope it comes to that because that would really, separate those who know what they're talking about from those who don't but can talk.
Got it. Yeah. And last thing I'd mention, if I could, sorry, I'm talking.
No, I love it. It's good. All good stuff.
Well, this is something. So when we started doing Facebook ads at MGE, it was me and Adam Mortimer, our marketing director, right? And we're like, let's do some Facebook ads. It'd be kind of fun. We'll advertise some of our free seminars that we're doing out on the road. when we could actually see people face to face. Now we can't. People can come to our office, but we don't do the free seminars on the road anymore. But those killed. Those were great.
Easy. It was an easier
2013.
game back
and
then.
We actually had a client, and you know who I'm talking about. We said, hey, we want to pilot some Facebook ads. So we did. And he was spending something, some horribly low number. It was, 24 to 40 new patients a month for spending $1,500 a month on Facebook. Wow. And we were advertising, we're doing these funny ads. It was actually kind of cool. We're advertising primarily for cosmetic dentistry. And it worked great, right? Because with Facebook, you can pick your demographics real well, right? But then what we saw was Facebook got more and more and more and more complex to sort of shake out all the newbies.
Correct.
So that, luckily Adam stayed with it. Like if you sit me in front of the Facebook advertising portal right now, I look like an idiot. I don't know what I'm looking for anymore. Yeah. Adam knows. That's why he's been able to continue our Facebook advertising. But I would posit, I'm just throwing this out here, and you'd know this better than me. It seems like a similar thing has happened with SEO.
Spot on. I mean, like 100%. And I talk to clients all the time. They say, SEO used to be so simple. I could just do the following things and pay some guy a few $100s and I'd be number one in a couple weeks.
Right.
Google has shut down those loopholes. Google is not there at all for businesses. It is not there. It's giving free content to browsers, making the browser experience awesome so they can get the results they're looking for. And it has, a responsibility to the browsers. And you as a business can advertise it on it if you so choose or not.
Got it.
But we are here for the browsers because the browsers make our life possible because we can then advertise to them.
Right. So
they have closed these loopholes and they've really done, you used to be able to do different practices that I don't want to get into, but those practices could shoot you up to the top within a couple of days or a couple of weeks, and then you'd be shot back down because somebody else would do it. All those have been, I wouldn't say all those, but most of those have been closed. And, it's a tougher, more competitive environment today.
All right. So then, okay. Yeah, I think that pretty well hits it on the head. So as far as for the people listening, I mean, they could be anywhere on the subject of SEO. Obviously, if they've done all the basic things, if they have their basics you were talking about, like they've got a good amount of reviews, their ratings good, they've claimed their Google My Business page, and they have populated all their listings, then they need a more advanced strategy, obviously.
And maybe a couple other things I'd recommend. If they ever hear from the guy that says, I can get you to the top of Google in a month, run. If they don't know, some company calls and says your current SEO provider is really horrible and they're uncertain. What we do is we do a little SEO analysis where we have a program. It's a very expensive program that actually looks at the back end of their website like Google does.
Got it.
And gives a generic, and we can see what keywords they're ranking for and those that they're not. And how are they doing in their general area? And we'd be happy to do that just to give them an honest, hey, this is where you're at and this is where you're not at.
Right.
So that just helps give somebody some certainty and so they know, okay, good. What's the truth out there?
No, but I think this is good. This is so critical. The 10 out of 11 are the ones clicking the organic ads. It's something that you can't avoid. It's something that you got to confront for long-term success. Yeah. So what I'd recommend to anybody listening, obviously, is, do the things Dan's talking about. Start claiming, do your DIY stuff, which you should do no matter what you're doing. Right. And that's something you could spend 20, 30 minutes a day on until you catch it up. Right.
And it's a good familiarization just to get out there and.
Yeah. It's putting yourself out there.
That's it.
And then also, if you want to hear Dan really get into the subject a bit, you can attend the MGE New Patient Workshop, which we'll have a link on the episode webpage, or you can go to newpatients.net to learn more. Or if they have questions, they can contact you, Dan, right?
Just email me.
Yeah, if you have any questions that came up as a result of the episode, you want to have Dan have a look at, what you have cooking, you can email Dan at danb@mgeonline.com. And Dan can give you his assessment of what's happening in your area. Or with your SEO rather. But otherwise, I think that hits it on the head for some basics there. Yeah. And we kept it without getting into too many heavy, outrageous terms, right?
Yeah. And you
said nap, but
that's right.
Caught me off guard for a second. But I think we were pretty good there.
Yeah. Easy stuff.
All right. Good. Yeah. Dan, thanks for joining us this week.
My pleasure.
And folks, you have a great week. We'll see you at the next episode.